Welcome to the CrackOn podcast, hosted by me, John Saunders. CrackOn. Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the CrackOn podcast, episode 7, series 3, hosted by myself, John Saunders. And this week, it gives me a great pleasure to introduce Luke Ralph from Rocks PR. Just an all-round top guy. I met him on my travels down to Brighton, and he will be a lifelong friend. He's such an interesting guy. Festivals, hospitality, we put it all to bed. So have a listen and enjoy. Crack on. Hey, what's happening, Luke? Good morning.
How you doing, John? You okay?
Yeah, I'm really well, thanks, man. I'm really well. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you, John. Enjoying the sunny weather.
Yeah, mate. I'm missing Brighton today, mate. I'm telling you, I'm missing Brighton today.
Well, on days like this, yeah, I don't blame you. Walking to work at about 7:30 this morning, it was still hot, real heat.
Yeah, mate. And I bet this weekend's been amazing down there.
It's been incredible. Yeah, it wasn't a cloud in the sky yesterday. Sort of atmosphere. It's like being on holiday, is what I compare it to. You get a very similar feeling just walking around. Everyone's sort of having a good time. I suppose a few people are on holiday.
Yeah, mate. I was on a 2-year holiday, but it's exactly that, isn't it? It's exactly that, mate. When I came down, and I still have fond memories, and Brighton will be part of me for the rest of my days, mate. I tell you, it'll be part of me. It's a beautiful place, but it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, especially in the sunshine, it's a special place.
Yeah, totally right. Okay, so let's get cracking straight into it then. Right. What does crack on mean to you then, mate?
It means no excuses. Let's get it done. Crack on regardless. We can all find a million excuses if we want, but you just got to get on with it, find a way, and crack on.
Yeah, and you've got a few examples. I remember, and I think in our industry as well. So our industry really does that, doesn't it? I mean, we've got to just get on with it. Sometimes you get thrown a bone, mate. You got to turn, you've got to literally turn it around.
Yeah, well, today as an example, there's countless examples. You can sit around, wallow in pity, or think, you curse and think, why is this happening? Or you can just sort of get up, get on with it. Especially as sort of a leader or a person like that, it is your responsibility, I think.
The biggest one for me with you, I mean, this is the one that turned it around for me. When we had that storm come in and you had a festival. Now that for me, the way you turned that round between you as a team, I just thought that was amazing. You want to just go through that?
Yeah, sure. So we had a festival in the middle of June in Brighton. We had our site completely built. And on the Friday night, we went to bed ready for a weekend festival. Saturday at about 4 a.m, 80-mile-per-hour winds hit. They rip open a hole in our big top tent. So Saturday morning at about 7 a.m, I've got 30 missed calls. I'm sort of there in a bit of a whirlwind because the weather wasn't that bad when I went to bed.
No.
So wake up, get down to site. Health and safety have called it off. Basically, it can't happen. This is too dangerous. So after about an hour of figuring out what to do, we decided to, the first day was completely done.
Yeah.
We moved all of the tickets into the seafront venues so that the people traveling down from London and such had somewhere to go. So it wasn't a wasted day for them. And then we managed to locate another big top that was just about to be built for Glastonbury. So they drove all the way down. They arrived, I think, about 8 p.m, started taking down the other big top, worked all the way through the night. The production team had to take the whole stage, all the sound, audio, everything out. And then, worked all the way through the night. The festival was meant to start midday Sunday. And I think we got open at about 12:15. So we were 15 minutes late, but listen, we managed to put a show on. And the Sunday was actually a really good day. It wasn't exactly as we imagined. Like, we lost a little bit of production, we lost a little bit of decor, but we were so determined to go ahead with the festival, and we managed to.
Oh, mate, there's an outsider looking in and somebody who has total empathy for the industry. I just looked at it and thought, I tell you what, fellas, all of you involved in that, what a one to turn around.
Well, we had to, but you know what, people, I put a few messages in WhatsApp groups, friends came down, we were picking up Harris fencing, unscrewing, screwing things, doing jobs that you would never expect to do, or never expect some of your friends to do. But everyone sort of mucked in, and we got it done.
Yeah,
It was nice. It was nice. You know, there was a lot of admin to do. People forget about that. There was someone sitting behind a laptop all day answering thousands of questions, you know, taking the inevitable abuse. So yeah, it was a real team effort, you know.
Oh, mate, and that's where a team really pulls in. And I think that's where, you know, you've asked me a couple of times, what am I doing on this podcast? Mate, if there's one thing, that's the blinking reason. That is one of the reasons. Yeah. Just like, you know, one of our audience, if there any of them are sat there thinking this is a bad day today, those calls you had that night was not perspective, didn't it? You know?
Yeah, it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. But listen, the reward at the end was a nice feeling. The fact we got it done. I mean, if we hadn't got it done, I might have been speaking about the 48-hour period a lot differently.
Yeah,
but it pulled off. So yeah, it was very rewarding. And like I said, it meant we got footage from the event. It meant we were able to go ahead with the event the following year, which we obviously weren't able to due to Corona.
Of course.
So that event has now been postponed, I think 4 times, only gone ahead once. But we're still determined to do it. It's happening next year, start of May next year. So touch wood, that's when we get to go ahead and everyone will be able to see it in its full glory.
Yeah. And I'll be there, mate. I'll be there. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. So, and then the next question then, idols, and mentors. So have you, have you had anyone in your life that you would see as as an idol or someone you've learned loads from?
Yeah, a few people, you know, if that's okay. It doesn't have to be one.
Yeah, of course, mate. Yeah, you crack on with all of them.
Yeah, a couple of people. So the immediate people in my life, I'd say would be my mum and dad. The work rate when I was younger, you know, they went to work every single day. There's no complaints. They just got on with it. They do a lot tougher jobs than what I do, put it that way. There's no such thing as a sick day, you know, and there was no complaints. It's you go to work, get home, and they were still working when they got home, you know, cooking, doing that sort of stuff. When you're younger, you don't realise or appreciate these things. You know, I have a long day at work. I could come home, I can be moody, you know, I can not fancy doing anything. And I just think, you know, my parents, I never got that impression. So I'd definitely start with them.
That's
then
brilliant.
my partner, Nat, she, when the pandemic hit, she had handed in a notice, but she rescinded her notice. And she worked for over a year. She's done a job that she didn't like. It was affecting her mental health. I'd say, but she wanted to make sure we had enough money, you know, and it's things like that make you like that happen, and you realise sort of who's with you, who's not. So she stuck that out for over a year, which I think, you know, if I wasn't doing a job I liked, I don't think I could last 2 weeks. We know that feeling. And then professionally, I'd say Albie is my business partner. I work with on a lot of shows and events. There is nobody that works harder than him. He's probably one of the most successful people I know, if not the most. And he still works. If he could, he'd work 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. He would. And it puts things into perspective. Whenever I think I've got it tough, or if I ever think I should be in a better position than I am, I can look at Albie and think, do you know what? I don't quite want it enough just yet. There's a bit more. There's a bit more I can do if I really want to do well with myself. And then a few others, I'd say Sarah Cole, who I work with on Supercharged. She works for AEI. The way she carries herself, conducts herself in business. It's a male-dominated industry.
I bet.
Especially booking. And Sarah's the best of the lot. You know, she's right at the top. Always got an awareness of the bigger picture. She's got like a calmness that she's probably had a million emails from me with a million ideas, and she manages to select the few that this is what you should be focusing on, or this is what you're doing. And invariably she's right more often than not. And then one that really sticks to my mind was Paul Jack. He runs LWE events in London, so does like the big tobacco doc shows, Junction 2 Festival. And I remember it so well. He invited me around just for like a catch up. Sitting in his living room, he's like, I've just got to finish this call. And I'm sure he won't mind me saying, he was talking, it was a work call, and he had talking about huge losses he'd made on an event. It was like eye-watering, and I was just sitting there, a little bit awkward, thinking, I don't know where to look. And he just finishes the call as calm as you like. He's like, how are things with you? You were good? And just the way it's business, and he could just carry on with his personal. At that time, I was still a little bit more childish, not quite as grown up, still would wear my shirt on my sleeve with every business decision. If that was me, my day would be ruined. I'd be counselling meetings, but it just bounced off him. It was just, yeah, how you doing, mate? You all right? Just a nice tone of voice, carried on the conversation like it never happened. And I just really realised there's like a level to business. And there's like moments you realise why these people are successful. And it's just how they conduct and carry themselves and their attitude and approach. There's no like special hidden button or knowledge that they know that you don't. It's just that they've got the right attitude.
Yeah. And if there's one thing you've got, mate, is absolutely 100% the right attitude. I think that it goes without saying. I mean, you've got a really good, they say, Phil, you surround yourself with the right people. I mean, your mates, you got such a great network of friends around you and mates and colleagues that's surely got to be high on the agenda for you, huh?
Definitely. I read something that said you're just an accumulation of the 5 closest people around you. So I keep that in mind. I'm very, very aware of that. I've even sort of become less friends with some people over it because you see yourself going down a certain way. So I think an awareness of who you spend your time with is vitally important. But I've been very lucky. I've had sort of great friends around me who, in their own rights and their own things, are great at certain things. And I suppose it's learning and sort of not being humble enough, but realizing that you don't know it all. You're not the best at everything. Someone who does something for a living or has a bit of knowledge in a certain area, you can take and learn from them. And I suppose it's that as soon as you have that willingness to do so, everything changes.
I think I'm reading a book at the moment. I've just finished a book actually, just about, and part of it is about egos and about understanding that whoever has that ego and has that big sort of I am, are the ones that will never ever get to where they need to get to, because the ego is the one that brings you down to a level. And again, I'm being quite open with you, but I've never ever sensed any sort of ego with yourself. Whenever we've met, it's always been about other people, mate. And I think that for me resonates with myself a lot, because that's how I've always run my businesses. It's not about me, it's about the other people. I mean, the fact that I asked you, have you got one person? No, I haven't got one person that's been close to me. There's about 5 or 6 that have influences, and you take things from everyone, haven't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I done a Clifton strengths test. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Talk us through it.
It's really useful. It's the most sort of regarded character test in the business world, I'd say. Right. So it's as accurate as you can probably get. It's a set of questions, and from that it draws some conclusion on what are your strengths in business.
Right.
With the sort of overriding message from the book is to focus on your strengths, not your weaknesses, and then find people who complement your strengths. So my number one strength was individualization, which is seeing the best in other people. So it's funny you say that, because until recently I'd never. It's quite hard to pick your own strengths and your own weaknesses. It's a difficult thing. It's not something you.
That was the strength. What was the main weakness then?
Well, it doesn't tell you your weaknesses. Right. It only tells you your strengths, because you're only meant to focus on those.
Yeah.
But no, weakness. I mean, a while back I would have said ego, and maybe from a slightly different perspective. It wasn't. I'd be going around, giving it the big I am. It was an ego from the sense that I would be scared of failure, scared of how you'd be perceived, maybe scared to try things. It holds you back as well, ego. A lot of people can sort of run their mouth and it can have a bad effect that way, ego. But there is another side to ego, which probably isn't spoken about as much. And I definitely felt that, there was a reluctance to fail, I suppose, or be seen to be failures. I used to do this as well. But
because failure is different to everyone, yeah? I suppose it's an interesting question that leads on to it. What is failure in your eyes then? What was that part of it with the ego?
I'd say, attempting something and someone else being better than me at it, or someone else performing better than me. It was. I think as you grow a little bit older and a bit more aware of the world, you realise there probably is always someone out there bigger and better than you, no matter what you do. But when you're living in a bubble, and especially before the whole coronavirus thing, and you could take a chance to step back and evaluate what you were doing, a lot of times I was living life 100 miles per hour, no perspective. You're just in the zone, and you just got no perception or awareness or just understanding. So you get in this place where you sort of think you're somewhere, you think you're something, or and you're scared to lose whatever it is you're holding on to, but it's not real. That it's just something you've built in your head. So yeah, I'd say ego would have definitely been a huge weakness of mine, and since becoming a little bit more aware, reading a bit more, taking a step back, doing a few more things for my own like sort of personal sanity and mental health and stuff, that I'd say it's made me a much better overall businessman, and just a much better person, which I think behind it all is the key. There's no hidden sort of cheats in business. It's just, if you're a decent person, eventually I think that's going to pay off.
Totally agree, mate. I mean, a better Luke is a better everything, isn't he?
Yeah.
Just have you got any sort of any snippets for the listeners they could take from that? What have you sort of, I know over the last 2 years it's been tough for generally everyone, but especially someone in your industry or our industry, it's been an absolute savage beast, hasn't it? But what have you done over the last 2 years? You said you'd sort of come out a bit of the mental side of it and become out a better. What have you? Any cheats?
Well, when it all hit, I had the couple of weeks of self-pity and worry, concern, stripping naked when you walk back through the front door, where you're concerned about the vibe.
Going into bed in the fetal position. Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah. So once I got over the initial panic, I started running every day, which was a major change. I would always say to myself, I'm too busy to go to the gym. I'm too busy to run, which is just ridiculous. It wasn't that. I just didn't prioritize it. I started running every day. I started doing a little bit of yoga, a little bit of meditation.
Brilliant.
Importantly, started listening to some podcasts.
Yeah, great. Any particular ones you got a lot from?
Different areas. Yeah, I got a lot from the Headspace podcast, was a good one.
Yeah.
I listened to some property podcasts, which the Rob and Rob one, which was pretty good. The CrackOn podcast I've been following, John, which is a really good one.
Yeah, love that.
I even listening to like The Economist every single day, learning a little bit about the financial markets. It's something you've always wanted to learn about, but I've never had the time, so I went out and did it. And my sort of investment and saving strategy has changed tenfold since that. So long run, it might have been a blip for a year or so financially, but over the course of 10, 20 years, it could actually be the best thing that's ever happened to me.
That's such a great way. That's so refreshing to hear, mate. So refreshing to hear that.
Yeah. So I'd say the main thing was sort of just taking a little bit of responsibility for everything, just realizing it's up to me to sort this out. No, like what am I waiting around for? The government aren't. It's not their job to, you can argue a little bit to give you some support, but it's my job. It's up to me. I can plan my time. As soon as I started planning my time a little bit better, to include running, to include podcasts, to include walks, the daily walk, that became my favorite part of the day. But it's important. Mainly down the seafront, but we started driving to that Devil's Dyke. You go for walks. We're so sort of blessed in where we live and the area we've got and what's around us. I didn't need anything. There was a period of time where if I had my iPhone and I had enough for 3G and walk, I didn't. My outgoings in life could have gone right down to hardly anything a month. It was just a bit of a. It's nice to make money and it's nice to feel secure. Don't get me wrong, I'm not underplaying that. And when you have money, it's easy to, I think, undervalue the importance of money. So don't get me wrong on that, but it's changed my whole perspective. I realised it's up to me. I can make such a difference. And I plan for every call I have now. I plan 15 minutes before, and the calls go a million times better because I've sat down, I've had a little think, and I never did those small things before. And I don't know how I got through life.
No, but you know what? The shift now, you're gonna find. I mean, I love that prep before because I had a week last week or 2 weeks ago where I just didn't get anything from any of it, right? And I was going from meeting to meeting to meeting, and actually I got out of the meetings thinking, Well, I don't even know what I went to that meeting for. I just called it because I thought I needed the meeting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Listen, I've done that a million times. A million times. You go into a meeting, you're not sure what you want to get out of the meeting. And you get about half an hour in, and you think, why have I not just thought about this beforehand?
What am I talking about here? I don't even know what I'm talking about. You know?
What do they want me to be talking about? That's the word.
When you walk away, shake hands, and go, "What the heck was that about?" You know?
Yeah.
I love that 15-minute prep. I really do. I think that's such a valuable lesson for anyone. That.
Yeah. Look, I try my hardest to do even more longer prep, right? Especially if it's an important meeting or things like that. But every single one, if you're going to give someone an hour of your time or half an hour of your time, the least you can do, I think, is do a 15-minute prep. You know, see what do I want out of this? Do I want anything out of this? Is it just to help them? Is it to help me? Have they, you sent me some questions. I had a little quick think, have I done enough to be prepared so I'm not letting that person down?
Yeah.
There was too much. I think influences are a massive part of this, but there was especially in the events industry, there's a whole sort of blag culture. People almost respect people who can just blag it. Go into a meeting, oh, don't worry, I went into that meeting and blagged it. It's like, oh, wow, you've got an aura of invincibility around you because you can do that. But I think as you progress, you sort of realise that.
Yeah, but the thing is with that, mate, I think I was going to say to you, when you mentioned earlier on about the ego and stuff, the industry that you're in generally, I mean, I'm not, however much I've dealt with, I'm going to use the word promoters. I know you've gone up a level with regards to that. I think that you've still got that promotions company and those people within that. People at university want to join that promoting company because it's fun and it's big and it's loud so there is an element that there's got to be a sense of ego within there, hasn't there? It's that industry.
Yeah, of course, because people, if you're selling fun and excitement and entertainment, it's quite hard sometimes to do that if you're really humble and saying, look, we're an okay night out.
Yeah, we're all right. Just turn up on the door and be fine, mate.
Yeah, we're nice people. Just come and see us. You'll have a good time. So, yeah, definitely. I think the skill is obviously being able to separate the two.
Yes, and that's the timing, isn't it? That's the length of time you've been in the industry, and that's the learnings and learning from. I love that 100% accountability bit. I really, if there's one thing that, I've got on my own now, I've left where I am, and I'm 100% accountable now, And if I don't succeed or move it on, there's only one person to blame, it's me, So
exactly.
I love that part of it. I think that's awesome.
It was. I think it was listening to my own voice. I was moaning, sitting around saying, I haven't received much support. The government should be giving me this, blah, blah, blah. And then I thought, well, hang on a minute. There's probably, it was my friend Pedro who's talking about the Polish government. He said, there is no support. And he said, people opening gyms, they just go in and arrest them. He said that no one's got money. And I just thought, do you know what? It could be a million times worse. Like, it's hard because I think as humans you compare yourself to other people, and when you get the feelings of unjust or things aren't fair, it is sometimes hard to not be vocal or not to be, well, I deserve this, I deserve that. But the moment you realize it's just down to you and you can affect and change it all, and so what if it's not fair, sort of thing. Life's not fair, get used to it. It's like a pressure's lifted. It's like, okay, well, I can handle that now, I can deal with that. Like things that you can't affect and can't change. Other festivals are getting £300,000 grants. You're not getting any. If I sit and worry about that all day long, I don't want to see the other festival lose money. It's not going to affect anything. It's not going to change anything. All that's going to happen is no work's going into the festival because I'm the man responsible for doing something about it. Is sitting around wallowing in self-pity, wondering why.
Totally. And I interviewed a lady called phenomenal woman, Harry James. She was on my last podcast. Phenomenal. She was a CrossFitter, and she went from the police force into being in sort of some like high-end sort of films, right? Because she's built, and she went to the World Championships. One thing she said was control the controllables. I can't control what I can't control. And what you were just saying then is exactly that, isn't it? Going into life, you can only control what's around you and in your control.
Well, today, for example, it looks like the restrictions are going to be continued for another 4 weeks. Yeah. It's a headache. We've spent loads of money. We're going to have to reschedule and rearrange things, which people generally don't like. So we're going to have a tough conversations for the next week or two with people demanding their money back, that sort of thing. Us, with our hands tied on a lot of issues, because it's quite a hard industry to be that reactive where you're ready to go, especially,
I bet.
well, we've had countless messages already this morning, but there is no new date, as so to speak, yet. And
No. But until you get the news, I mean, the interesting bit, let's go right on that moment. Let's go back and talk me through the journey of Luke, because obviously, university, then rocks, and you've done so much. I mean, we will come back to one thing I will say through that lockdown. A good friend of mine, Bruce BT, used to say to me when I was in work, and he was stood with me, and you were encapsulated this: when one door closes, another one's got to open, right? Yeah. And I think the way you treated your, the PR side of it, you've opened load more doors, and that for me is a sign of a great entrepreneur, but also one that understands the future.
Yeah. So, I mean, the lockdown happened. Events industry was sort of put into turmoil. And I sort of started second guessing it, because in my head I was thinking this could go on for a very long time, and what stops this from happening? So I had no immediate income for a few months, so I decided to do the marketing thing. It took a little mention from one of my friends, gave me a little kick, said, "Why don't you consider doing this?"
You can mention him. He's a mutual friend of both of ours.
Who, Chris?
Mr. Spencer himself. You love that little bit of plugging.
So Chris obviously realised, probably better than myself, what some of my skills might be, and our reputation maybe within the city could help a few other businesses. So he helped me put together a marketing side to Rocks, and we approached a few businesses, and we've been doing marketing on their behalf. It's gone really well. It's made me a better marketer at my own job, because when you get out of your comfort zone, you're spending 8, 9, 10 hours a day researching how to market an aesthetic clinic, how to market a building company. It's autopilot events and festivals sometimes, where we've been doing it for so long. But this put me out of my comfort.
This is the thing, mate. You say it's autopilot. I think it's brilliant, because there's so much. It's like that saying, you don't know what you don't know. What you do know is so valuable now. And I think that's what Chris was saying. I know you know it now, and you've always known it, but that marketing that you actually do is pretty phenomenal, and it's in the marketplace, isn't it?
Yeah, until I did it for someone else, John, I still wouldn't have understood or realised it. Seeing it in practice and work in a completely different sector and industry, which isn't your business, it's different. It does make you sort of realise, okay, well, it's not a load of rubbish what I'm talking about. There's some
work, and it can work elsewhere.
Yeah, there's some truth in it. And do you know what? I got really invested in it. It gave me something to really latch onto and focus my time on. It's not my own business, and I didn't have the risks of my own business, which probably made it more enjoyable. But really getting stuck in, understanding, learning, and seeing the results come has been very, very rewarding. I bet. As things go back to normal, it's tricky juggling the two, but I want to carry them on.
Good, absolutely, mate. So, take us back a bit further than that, and tell us how it all happened. Take us back to the beginning.
Okay, so I was at university.
Where'd you go to? Was it Sussex?
Sussex. Yeah. I was in the
university. Great uni.
Brilliant university, at the time, especially. So I joined the football team. Studied English. Which is a bit of an odd one for my career choice, I think.
That's good, mate. It's cracking.
Joined the football team, became social sec. So I had to organise the socials. And then one fateful day, I got told I need to organise a fundraiser. It's up to me how I do it. Spoke to the boys who had done it previously. They said, I used to do a club event and raise money that way. So I done a Monday night at a walkabout, a cold, rainy Monday.
That'd be the starting one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, cold, rainy night in January in Walkabout. 600 people turned up, or just a little bit over. All paid. I even got my friends to pay. I said it's for charity. Well, it's not for charity. It's for the.
It's for Luke's charity.
The football team. Yeah. Saw this sort of bundle of money come in and thought that wasn't too difficult. So thought I'd give it another crack. Had done an event for dissertation day. Which is the day when everyone hands in their final dissertation. But at Sussex, it was quite a famous day. People would run like naked or in costumes and do like a dash with holding their papers, and people would sit around cheering. But there was no big event at night time for it. No one had thought we should be putting that on, it should be a big one-off special in the clubs. So done one at Revs by 11:15, complete capacity.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, on a Monday in May that was, and then from that I had Prism, Life, Coalition. I had all the clubs and promoters sort of sit up, take notice, want to call meetings, and really decided, you know what, I'll give it a go on my own. Told my parents, didn't really understand what it was, but were like,
What was that reaction when you told your parents? When I told my mum and dad I was going to become a bar manager, they looked at me like, "So what the hell are you doing, mate?"
Yeah, I think it was like. How they didn't understand how I made my money. You charge people to go into the venue and you take that money. Like it was a bit of an alien concept to them.
I bet.
They trusted me. You know, they didn't put too much pressure. They sort of went, yeah, cool, like sort of go with it. It was difficult. Don't get me wrong. I had a few big successes. The first year I had a big A-level party. Took on all the big promoters at the time.
Yeah.
Elijah, Justin, the local people, absolutely smashed the Facebook event, smashed the promo. Got taught a little bit of a promoting lesson on that night.
What was that?
So the venue on the seafront, I absolutely killed them on my Facebook event. We had about nearly 5,000 on the guest list.
Right.
We opened at 11 and he just opened the club at 10. So there's me bringing my step, walking down to the venue, happy as Larry, thinking, I've got a job done here. Get there about 10:30, and the biggest queue you've ever seen in your life is stretching from the rival club all the way to right outside my front door. And we're still putting the barriers out. The club's absolutely rocking.
Oh, pulled your knickers down.
Queues growing and growing, and it took the first hour, people turning up, just looking at us and just going like, nah. Like I see people talking, and it's me on my own. I didn't have a team then, and I was just standing there. Yeah, what a good job, to be fair to the other promoter. But he taught me one there. You know, it's not always who's the best; it's who's the smartest. And
mate, that's a great learning curve, that, isn't it? You wouldn't do that again.
No, I wouldn't do that again. I'd be more aware, not as sort of cocksure and confident. You know, I thought I had the job done, and I didn't have the job done. It still went well in the end, but it was a real, he's long in the tooth. He understands the game a little bit better than me.
But like I said, there's winners and losers, isn't it? But isn't it? You never lost out of that. You actually just learned so much, didn't you?
You learn more from the losses. The empty club nights, totally not only are they character building, you sort of analyse where and why it went wrong. Whereas when everything's going okay and going well, I don't think you stop and think and look and see, actually, there was an issue there, or we could have done a little bit better there. There's a little bit of arrogance attached with it, but it's going well. I don't need to hear it. Someone suggests something, don't worry about that. There's still 800 people in the club every week. I'll worry about that next week. Or, there's a little bit of that to it. So 100% agree with you, John. You learn a million times more from the losses than you do.
I totally agree, mate. Totally agree. So then you got your knickers pulled down. But how did that evolve from there then to the festivals and all those bigger events? And how did that come about?
Well, established a couple of weekly events. Lost a few nights, gained a few, ups and downs. It wasn't until the rivalries really heated up. So when our rivalry was at the strongest, and we were at our weakest, that's when you hold a mirror up, and that's when I had to pull my finger out, and I wasn't prepared to lose. I was prepared to do whatever it takes. If it meant 18 hours a day on a laptop messaging people, that's what it meant. If it meant standing outside on your own till 5 a.m. flying outside all of their events to ensure that people know about yours, then so be it. So I really didn't want to lose.
That's the never give up attitude, huh?
Yeah, very much so. And I carried on and on and on. And then the competition's what fuels you to think bigger. It's what drives you to try and attempt bigger things. You've got to get one ahead. I started working for a festival called Shakedown.
Right.
I messaged the guy, and I remember it really well. I just get this call. I messaged him at 4 o'clock on a random Wednesday. About 3 weeks later, I think it was a Monday morning, 7:30 a.m., 8 a.m. I get this call from this Scottish guy going, blah, 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 just absolutely rambling about how many times promoters have messaged him saying they could sell 500 tickets, and he's heard it all before. He's done his research though. People know me about town. He's willing to give me a chance. You know, if I lose a ticket, I'm paying for it. If this goes wrong, I'm paying for it. A million stipulations on the back foot from the start. Quite like sort of an aggressive tone. I get these tickets through about 2 weeks later. The festival's about 6 months away, so no one's really buying tickets for it. 2 weeks later, can I have a ticket update? Any money to send me? I was thinking, I haven't even got.
Tough. This guy's got my balls in a vice.
So I started sending this message around, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to tweak this message. So I was sending the message around, posting around like, oh, anyone want to buy shakedown tickets? And then at the bottom, I just included, P.S. We're looking for people to help sell tickets. If you sell 4 tickets, you get 1 free. Get in contact, like limited spaces available. Sent that message out. Within about a week, 50, 100 people wanted to do it. It wasn't
to actually sell them.
Yeah, wanted to sell them, but people when you're messaging people, they quite often buy 4 or 5 at a time. So they clocked. I buy 5 tickets, I get a free one here. All I have to do is say,
what a great offer.
But yeah, fine with me because they're accounted to me. So finally managed to send Nick £2,000 out of the 20,000 so I owed him.
Yeah.
And then I get a message, is that it? Was expecting a little bit more for this stage. So anyway, crank it up. About 2 months before the festival, I'd sold all the tickets. There was 500 in the bag, send him the money. Pete calls me up, he goes, I think we need a meeting. He goes, if I had a penny for the amount of times I've had promoters say they're going to sell 500 tickets, and he goes, I'd be a very rich man because there's not one has ever managed to do it yet. He goes, you're the first one who has it. Let's have a meeting.
Yeah,
so I had a meeting.
That's just great. That's a proper crack on attitude, isn't it?
Yeah, got more and more involved. I was on a tiny percentage. The first year of Boundary, I was on 5%, very small fee.
Right.
I had people flying the train station for free every Friday and Saturdays just to prove my worth. Had to do that for 6 months.
It's the unseen stuff as well, though, mate. That's the thing in it with this. That's the graft. Everyone I've spoken to, it's not about what everyone sees in the limelight. It's that stuff in the background like that gets you the results.
Swallowing it. You know, if I get a message saying jump, it was the message back was how high do you want me to jump?
How high do you want me to go, and where do you want me to get there? Because that attitude and that's for me is where, you know, the men and the boys, isn't it? For me, it's men or boys. You either want to get there and do it, or you want to not. And if you're not going to do it, then just go to the one side, go to the wayside, and off you go.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I really wanted it. Like I said, I didn't want to fail. I didn't have hundreds of thousands of pounds. I had no right to be involved in the festival world. I was a small promoter. You know, I had a bit of success in the clubs. You know, a couple of weekly events, but compared to the people I was working with, I was small fry. I had a small percentage, and when I looked at it fairly and objectively, you know, that was right. So the only way I was going to ever get anywhere was by proving the festival would be at a severe disadvantage without me being involved.
So you being there, that's a great way of doing it as well, isn't it? You know, it's a bit like, you know, if I related to myself, if I took a venue on or whatever, it's like you know, as a general manager, any general manager out there worth their salt should want that venue to not do so well when you leave, because it's like, no, I was meant to be there for a reason. You know, the legacy is all good, but actually, deep down, you want to prove your worth, and that's one way to do it, isn't it?
Human nature. You know,
absolutely.
They do a good job, and like if you know, if they go on and find another way to succeed, and it doesn't sort of take away from your success, then great. But
brilliant.
I'm with you. I mean, Boundary, the way it sort of came about, me sort of taking over was the guys wanted to crack on without us. They wanted to, you know, to have a go, and I didn't think they were seeing my worth going into the second year, because, you know, I knew that deep down I'd done absolutely everything possible for that show right from the moment I signed up.
Show. What was the numbers like?
First one was I think around 8,000 out of 10,000 target. It wasn't where it needed to be, but I knew from my side of things, I delivered a large percentage of those tickets. Yeah, just personally through my networks, and we had done everything possible on our end. So I knew without my involvement in that show, it wasn't going to go as well.
You on that 8,000 odd.
No. So, you know, the lineup wasn't perfect the first year. Don't get me wrong. not taking anything away, the first year is the foundations of the success because they put on such a great show. The production was really good.
Yeah.
No corners were cut. It was a proper show. That's why people came back. So, I got a helping hand. It wasn't all down to me. It was down to...
No, absolutely. It was a team thing. But, you could see yourself sat at that table and you wanted to be there.
Yeah. But I didn't do the deal. Didn't do the deal for second year.
Yeah.
They went out really early. So it's September Festival. They went out with their promo in October, announced headliner. EZ was huge at the time.
Yeah.
Then came out in January, February, or March with Jax Jones, Gorgon City, Steph London, Corrupt FM, like huge artists, huge lineup. I felt, I was devastated at the time. Wasn't part of it. Outside of the bubble, put my heart and soul. Had people messaging me still. Oh, can you sort me out tickets? Can I sell tickets this year? That sort of thing.
That's
very hard.
It's a tough pill to swallow as well, isn't it?
Very tough pill to swallow. Started planning my own event on the seafront on the same day to try and compete with, just to do anything to try and sort of give yourself that feeling of, I can still have an impact here, or I haven't lost everything.
Yeah, if I can't join them, I'm going to go against them.
Yeah, and then in June, I think it was, both sides sort of put any animosity or, they made their decision. I sort of got over it. It was a business decision. They thought they could do it, and probably at the time it might have been the right decision. If they didn't want to give up something they didn't think they had to, then why would you?
Yeah, from a business point of view. But how did the second show go then without you on it?
Well, no, we jumped on in June.
Oh, you jumped on in June, right? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, quite late. Got it sold out together because we were the right promoters for the show. I had all the networks, all the resources. I knew the lineup was perfect the second year as well. I knew it was right.
It fitted your business as well, by the sounds of that. It does, doesn't it? Yeah. That sort of lineup is where you want to represent yourself, isn't it? Put it together.
Exactly. So the stars sort of aligned, and then from there, sort of the rest is history. It took a while. But behind it all, there was maybe 5, 6, 7 years of being a ticket seller for festivals, and sometimes feeling underappreciated. Sometimes, I lost money selling tickets a lot of the time because
you did.
I wanted to sell, make sure I sold more tickets than anyone else. The first year I worked on Shakedown, our rival promoters had their name all over it. They had in your ear. They had the VIP section. It was presented as like an in your ear festival.
Oh, that must have hurt.
Yeah, and there's me running around.
I say hurt, but that must have just riled you on because no one knew like I know you, and what you're saying from winning and not losing, that must have just riled you on no end.
Well, it did because I sold a lot of tickets. It was 800-900 tickets I sold, which I think was probably 8-9 times more than anyone else.
Well, that's it. To show it, but it shows in results, isn't it? Anyway, you've shown it in results. That's the only way you can do it. A lot of people in our game talk a very good game, mate. They talk such a good game, but not many people can back that up and deliver.
Yeah, and I think it's having seeing the bigger picture. I could have taken, what is it, £5 a ticket? I think I could have got. I could have walked away from that, pretty well off. But I was paying my sellers £5 a ticket. I was giving bonuses on top. I was driving everyone. I realised, if I lose a couple of quid here, it's not the end of the world. The big picture is having a percentage in a major festival. But it's the long game, and it's hard. It's very hard sometimes to not get disheartened or not get down or not, if you're not seeing immediate rewards or immediate benefits, even in the next year. It's only over the last few years I've really seen the bigger picture, and to have a 3 to 5 year plan. Events, it's easy money sometimes, right? And it's quick money, but it gives you the wrong impression. It gives you the impression that you're failing. If you're not making a ton of a bucket load of money in the first week or the first few months, it's like, that's a failure. It's quite hard to look long term.
But I think it's also one of those industries that it is quite cash injection, isn't it? You get a cash injection, you think you're riding the wave, but actually, as COVID has shown, we're not protected by anything, are we? It can such things can happen that you're not protected, and it's interesting to say, because actually today's young kids and instant gratification and not working that graft, and it's taken you 10 years plus to get to where you are now, and like I said, it's those unseen things, isn't it, that people just do not see.
No, they don't see. And I wish I documented it all.
I bet, mate. I bet it's all there, but I bet.
I had too much ego, because you don't want people to see you struggling. You don't want people to see the hard work. Everyone loves, you meet up with people, been so busy with work. It's like a status thing, work's going really well.
Doing this.
Work's going really well, flat out. Promoters, it's almost the opposite sometimes. It's event, sold out. Didn't do anything. Didn't put any spend on it. Not £1.
It goes full circle, didn't it? Yeah, I haven't done any work and it's still done.
I didn't even send an email out. I haven't even let anyone know it's happening and it's sold out. I
haven't got to do anything now. I just wake up in the morning and it's all sold out for them.
So I was very much caught in that loop. Going, no, I haven't been doing any work.
No, it's all good, mate. Not a problem. I ain't going to work hard anymore. I've already done it. Friday's already sorted.
I wish I'd documented it, because look, I listen to your podcast. I listen to a few others. Even if you talk to the top elite managers, sportsmen, one thing that's no one wakes up with this ability to be at the top of their industry, top of their sport. No one. It's accumulation of years and years of hard work, and the instant gratification and stuff that can come. When Phil Foden, Cristiano Ronaldo put a post up on their Instagram, or they've got 40 million followers, and everyone's going, all they do is play football. But, it's been 15, 20, 30 years of hard work gone into that.
Graft he would have put through, to have to get to that. We're going to come to the final 3 questions in a minute. I've got one to ask you before we get to them. Was there one moment in your, we're talking of highs and lows, and obviously there has been a lot of lows in your life and a lot of highs. And like you said, you've learned from the lows. Any particular one that changed you dramatically going forward? You mentioned, that guy pulling your knickers down, and I say knickers, I mean pants, but but is there any other particular moment you just thought, bloody hell, this is going against me here, and I either changed myself, or was there one moment in your life that's been the case?
Okay, I'd say we stayed loyal to a venue. They had operators in who had the keys, and they'd been loyal to us, showed us loyalty. We got a great offer to take over Trash Mondays. But it would have meant that those guys, they basically said to us, we're going to give the keys back to the venue if you leave, and we've stuck by you. Stuck by them, and then the inevitable happened. Rivals took Trash Mondays, absolutely smashed it, because it was a gold egg at the time. Sitting there watching my event get quieter and quieter, pulling your hair out. Not much you can do, because the momentum's gone. You can see it a million miles off. You're sort of flogging a dead horse. You've stayed loyal, and you've got nowhere. And on top of that, all your mates who, you're at the time, all your ex-mates have gone off to create do their own thing. They're all having an absolute field day, hand over fist. It was tough. I mean, I considered packing it all in, if I'm being honest.
I was going to say, what were the mind thoughts? Because that's
my mindset was, I'm on a losing battle here. My mindset was, my colleagues who I was working with at the time didn't have the same attitude as me. It would very much be wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock, put a status up on Facebook, because that's all they had to do back in the day. Go out for dinner, turn up for work, put the money in a bag, go home, repeat. That was the. Whereas I was trying to modernize it, I was realizing they've got 6, 7 of them guys full time online messaging people. I'm a one-man band against them. But I didn't believe their business model. I knew their business model. I knew they were paying too much. And I knew that the good times don't always last. So I toughed it out in the end. I mean, I interviewed for other jobs, because I don't know, not weakness, but it's hard to take when you got people around you, all your friends, they're all winning, and you're the one who's losing. You lose yourself a little bit. You lose your sort of, integrity. You start making decisions that you're trying to see them do bad, not you do well.
So what turned that around then? What was it? Was it any defining moment or not? Or was it just sort of turn up every day?
Turning up every day, that's all it was. You'll turn up every day and sticking to it, and realizing if you focus on yourself, it doesn't matter what other people are doing. I mean, you have to have an awareness of competitors and rivals. It'd be stupid not to, but you start trying to second guess and do things to affect that. That's not the best way. The best way, worry about yourself, trust in in what you're doing, your own quality, your own, direction. If you work on your product, it's so easy. We live in a little bit of a blame culture, and it's so easy to point the finger at someone else, or it only went wrong because of that, or it's not my fault because of this, but really you look internally, you look at yourself, and that's often when you start seeing the best results.
Yeah, totally, mate. And before we get into like the final three questions, I always give everyone a chance to, because if I listen to this, honestly, there's some total gems in it, mate. I'd love to reach out. If someone wanted to sort of reach out and say hello, how's best to contact you, mate?
So anywhere really. So I'd say any of my socials, which will probably be Luke Brighton Rocks. My email, which is luke@rockspr.co.uk. But yeah, I'd encourage people to. You learn a lot sometimes from teaching, and you learn a lot by just speaking, talking about things you've done, and you sort of have a moment of realization where you're like, never looked at it this way, or I could use some of those skills into something I'm working on now, or things like that. I don't know, maybe it's just like a goodwill or an energy that we don't really fully understand, but you get a lot of gratification and maybe just better self-awareness from helping others. I mean, there's a million people could go to that are better for advice than myself, but I always give it if someone asks, or try my best.
I totally disagree with that to a point. I don't think there's many people out there that could give. Look, some of the things you've spoken about today have just been, like I said, I think absolutely gold dust. I know that you don't agree with that, but I'm telling you that's straight. I would always reach out to you. I'm telling you.
I think there's a long way. I hope there's a long way to go for myself.
Yeah, you've got a journey. You're on a journey, mate. It's such an exciting journey as well. So I'm going to come to the end in a bit after these three questions. So, all right then. So 3 non-negotiables to get into Luke's life. What are the 3 non-negotiables?
I would say hard work is number 1.
Yeah. And I second that. There's one thing that I know that you do is you are one hell of a hard worker, mate.
Yeah, I think if you're not prepared to work hard, I just can't see how you can complain.
Yeah, you can't get into Luke's world otherwise. So that's one. That's
that's it. I would say integrity. Yeah. So I think being good intentions, making sure that there's a bit of honesty behind what you do. And you're trying to do good, I think is very important. The right reasoning and right intentions behind your actions, I think is very important. And if there isn't, I think it's a matter of time before you get caught out or you fall short.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then last one?
I'd say truth. I think if you're working with people or you've got people in your life, you've got to be able to trust them. And they've got to just tell the truth. I mean, I understand why people lie. I've lied in the past. Everyone's lied at some point. It's just, I think it's a bit of a weakness in character. And more often than not, when you tell the truth, especially to the people close around you, you get a 10 times better answer than what you're expecting. People want to help people naturally. Someone tells you the truth, you want to help them. That's your first reaction. It's when people are lying is when you want to push them away or not have too much to do with them.
Agreed. And like you say, mate, I will go back on before the last 2 questions. Is that the ones that are important in your life, the idle bits, and the idle people. I know I'll be with you, and I never really met Albie that much, but I've got to be honest, that sort of work ethic, that person. But one thing he'll do is tell you straight. And he will tell you straight. And I've got all the time in the world for that. I am not, I'm not pussyfooting around. I got a problem with you, I'll tell you straight. And the same vice versa. But also, and bringing people on, isn't it?
Yeah, if you can't handle it, I think Albie's actually sort of get out of the kitchen.
Absolutely. And his own business. And I thought, your partner, very resonated with me. My wife has been working. Like I've literally been waving my wife off doing nights for the last year and a half. It's hurt me, But it's the same thing, mate. It's people that are in your life doing things that just outside their comfort zone as well and showing you the way. I just think that's awesome. But those 3 non-negotiables are brilliant, mate. Cool. So give me it's the last but one. Biggest life lesson so far.
Okay. I'd say it's nobody owes you anything. Life's not fair. It's up to you to make things happen. No one else is out there. You can, read books. I say that in a good way because I've taken a lot from books, but you can read all the books in the world. You can watch all the YouTube videos in the world. If you're not prepared to action anything yourself, you're not going to get anywhere. You can stand around. I did it. I was guilty of it. I thought I was entitled and owed something at the start of last lockdown, and at the moment I realised I'm not, and I could have been born 99 times out of 100 in a different scenario, and I'd be getting a lot rawer deal than what I've got right now. So yeah, perspective. Have a bit of perspective.
And I think you don't need to say any more than that. It's just brilliant. I just such a great lesson there. So the last question that I ask everyone is, when you go back, if you were to go back to, let's say 16, because 18 is sort of all happened to you in university. So let's say you went back to a 16-year-old Luke. What sort of advice now would you give him?
I'd say the main one would be responsibility. I was sort of not feeling. I had no awareness at all about anything. I just thought me and my friends, that little bubble, that was the be all and end all. There was never a thought about the future, never a thought about what's next. There was, like I said, there was always someone else. If something went wrong, it was someone else's fault. I think realizing the buck stops with you. If I knew what I knew now at that age, I think I could have been 10 times more successful. Any
snippet of advice, anything you would say to them?
I would say slow down and have a bit of awareness. How you do anything is how you do everything. There's no point having this bravado and image on one side of things, but at the same time, you're going off and doing something completely contradictory. You're putting stupid things up on your social media, and then you're thinking you're carrying yourself amazingly well in another aspect of your life. It all needs to come full circle, and it really does. It's not until you actually sit there, hold yourself accountable for everything, that I think you can really grow. And like I say, I was living at 100 miles per hour. I wasn't accountable to anyone. I wasn't responsible. I was just in the day-to-day, waking up. As soon as the event started, they were going all right. But I was in this bubble where I thought they were going all right, but was I rich? No, but I was making a little bit of money and had everyone saying, oh, you're doing well. You think you're doing amazing, and you've got no other plans. You've got no foresight. You've got no appreciation of anything. If someone said, let's go for a walk, I would have said, why would I do that for? I don't need to do that.
The magic question then, I know a bonus question. Would you change anything so far?
No, I don't think so. I think the lessons and even the moments of cringe and stuff where you look back on them and you just want the ground to swallow you up. That's what makes you who you are. That's what the tough times are what you remember the most, right? And the biggest wins are what you remember the most. So without the lows, there is no highs. Or there definitely wouldn't be as big a highs.
Mate. I mean, I can see so many great things for you. I'll tell you what, and that's not just. You're such a genuine guy that I wish you all the best in your journey, mate. And I'm so thankful I'm involved in it, and Clash was a great friend. I wish you all the best with everything you do, mate. It's been amazing watching it so far, and I can't wait to see where it unravels.
No, thank you very much. And it was very nice, very kind of you to ask me on. It was very humbling. You've had some great guests, and to be sort of
a great guest, mate. Have a great day. Thanks ever so much for coming on, and just keep cracking on, bud.
Thank you, John. You take care. See you later.
Yeah, and you, mate. Cheers, Luke. Ta-ra, mate.
Bye-bye.
Ta-ra. So there we go. Luke, as I said, just an all-round, really, really level-headed guy. Never talks himself up, always about other people. Now, what you notice through all that podcast, talks about everyone else, his team, everyone else by himself. And it's all about development for him. And that, for me, is the crucial part for me. That's the bit I take from Luke, is that every time I ask him for something or he asks me, I'll always try and deliver for him, because he always does the same back. I think it's give and take, and he totally and utterly gets it, works so hard. And he's such a good guy that I'm just so chuffed I had a chance to spend 45 minutes, an hour with him. And he's going to be a long time friend for me. So I hope you enjoyed. I really do. Comment below. Give us some feedback. But anyway, if not, on to the next one. Crack on. Crack on.